we are going to be ranking the absolute worst rank to play in Marvel Rivals. But don't worry, it's not toxic. I mean, it's gonna be a little toxic. It's gonna be a little toxic, but I'm gonna give you guys tips and tricks on how to escape each rank. So if you're stuck in any rank, when I talk about it, I'm gonna give you tips on how to get out. As you guys already know, if you guys watch my stream, I played through every single rank as well as climbed every single role. So I know the pain that everybody's going through, whether you're tank, DPS, or strategist. I got your back. Starting off with the first rank, we have Bronze. If you are a Bronze player, it's because you do not understand how to play Marvel Rivals. You're really good at hyperfixating on how to play your hero properly. If I'm like, you need to press 1, 2, 3 in order to do your combo, you're gonna get really good at that. We're looking at the game more like Call of Duty or just more of like a beat 'em up game instead of looking at the game as a whole. There are teams that you need to play with. There are specific roles in the game. There are specific characters that are better and worse in some areas of the map. That's not saying you need to swap constantly, because you don't, but you do need to think about, well, if I'm in a long corridor and I'm playing Thor and there's a Hela on the enemy team, I can't just walk to her and KO her, right? You have to do other things outside of the box to get to that target. This is what's happening, and this is why you are in Bronze. Once you realize there's more to Marvel Rivals than just that, you will get out of Bronze in no time. Just blind yourself to your character and focus on how to play the game, not the character, and you will not be Bronze, I promise you. Where am I gonna place this rank? We're gonna place it in decent but delusional. The reason being is because the players are actually pretty decent at their character, but they think that they know more than they do, and that's what keeps them from breaking that barrier, because they're too focused on the character and not the game itself. Next up, we have Silver. Now, Silver is interesting because Silver is pretty much an extension from Bronze. The reason why you're Silver is because you started to learn how to differentiate your hero and how you play that with the rest of the game. You're starting to learn that, oh, there's different roles and my hero does this really well and it doesn't do that well, and I need to stand here and maybe do that. And you start to bridge the connection between the hero and Marvel Rivals, the game that is trying to be, which is really good. The reason why you are still Silver, though, is because we're just not quite there yet. Once you get there, you'll be good. But the cool part about Silver is that everyone, more or less, is focused on just getting better. There are a little bit of whining here and there, you know, there is, but for the most part, everybody in Silver kind of knows there's more to the game, and they're just focused more on that rather than like, oh, my team sucks, and they're focused more on like, I just need to get better so I can reach gold. That's all I need to. And I think that is a great mentality to have. And that type of rank, in my opinion, is one of the best ranks to be in. When you know that like you're not that great, but you're getting there and it feels good, and you know there's more for you to learn, that is good. It's a good competitive area to be in. If I could stay in Silver, I definitely would. I wouldn't, but playing in Silver is a very calming experience, and that's probably the best place to be in if you're in lower ranks to do your practicing and whatnot, because it's more of everybody's trying to get better, not just we're trying to put everybody down, at least from my experience. So we are going to place this at least you're trying. You know, you're not amazing, but you're not awful. You're trying, and that's what matters. The easiest way to escape Silver is just keep focusing on what you're focused on. There's no hidden trick to get from Silver to Gold. It's just we're not really tightening up everything that we need to tighten up, right? We're not really fully grasping everything yet. Once you do, you'll be gold in no time. It's not that difficult once you remove yourself from Bronze, I promise. Next up, we have Gold. So Gold is interesting. Gold is really interesting because Gold players, there's two types. You have the Gold players that just got to Gold and they're like, all right, I'm done, bro. Like, I don't want to play anymore. I'm gonna go back to quick play. I got the skin, great. Then you have the Gold players that get to Gold and they're not really sure if they can get any higher. You know, they play ranked casually, but they're like, I mean, if I get to Platinum, maybe I'll keep climbing, but I'm just hanging out here. In my opinion, Gold is pretty similar to Bronze, but whereas Bronze is delusional in more of a negative way, Gold is delusional in a positive way. Gold players have the capability of getting to Platinum, but they just kind of don't see it. They either quit because they don't want to play ranked anymore, or they just kind of lollygag in Gold because they feel like, you know, it's not really worth trying if, you know, if I don't know. I just don't know if I can get there. Like, that's what they're thinking, most of them. And again, that is just like Bronze, right? But it's just the opposite. They're more of delusional because they don't really understand how much skill they really have. But Bronze is more delusional because they think they have more skill than they do have. In my opinion, if you are a Gold player, that you can easily get to Platinum if you just want to. It's one of those things. Just, do you want to get to Platinum? Okay, get to Platinum. But where I would place this, it'd easily be just decent but delusional. Again, it's more of a positive light. You just either don't care, so you stop, or you just feel like you can't do it, or maybe you just don't really think you should try. But once you start coasting yourself closer and closer to platinum, you start realizing you can do it, and then you'll get into platinum. I don't think many people have hurdles in gold. It's just they don't have the drive to get to platinum yet. If that makes sense. So I'm not even really going to give you any tips for that other than just get the drive, you know? Find yourself a role, find yourself a character, and start putting in some of that time. You will be platinum in no time. Next up, we have platinum. So platinum, again, we have two types of players. You have the players that were gold and they kind of just like moseyed on into platinum and they're just like, hey, we're here. Then you have the platinum players that got knocked back into platinum. You don't generally have platinum players that are true platinum players. It is literally just, I moseyed myself to platinum and I'm not really sure if I want to try that hard to get to diamond. Where you have the people that got knocked back that think they are just great. And that typically happens a lot. If you play in platinum, there's a lot of players that just think that they're way better and I used to be GM and I was good and but they're still in platinum, which means it doesn't matter. You're not good enough to get there now. What typically happens in this rank is that you have players that are too focused on others. And what I mean by this is they kind of are blind to what's really happening in the game. If you're a tank player and you're like, my healers never heal, they always suck. If you rewatch that replay, I guarantee you there's a reason why they were not healing. However, platinum players do not understand this. It's the same for DPS and it's the same for healers. If you're playing DPS, you're like, I can't ever do anything because every time I flank, my team gets KO'd, or every time I go in, my team is never there. If you watch the replay, your timing is off. The same thing for strategists. Oh, I can never heal because they're so bad and they keep doing stupid stuff. And again, most likely you're just not in the right position to heal, or you weren't looking at them when they needed you and they got too low. And now you're trying to heal them from being really low. And at that point, it's too late. You're missing out on a lot, which is why you're platinum. And once you stop focusing on that and really start honing into you just being a better player in general, you will get to diamond. So if I had any advice for platinum players that are really feeling like they're stuck and they're trying to reach diamond, just stop worrying about other players. You're not quote unquote good enough to just blame other people for why you can't do something. You are missing something, and once you figure that out, you will skyrocket into diamond. A lot of players that are platinum just do not understand they're harming their team more than helping them, but because they are blind to it, they just think that their team is harming them. No, you're doing something that makes the game harder for your team and you just don't notice it yet. Once you notice it, you'll make it easier for your team to win and you'll start winning, you'll start climbing, you'll be diamond. If I were to place platinum, I would definitely place this in, are we even playing the same game? Like easily are we even playing the same game? Because if you notice a plat player whine about something and then you watch it in the replay, it is not the same exact thing that they were whining about. I've seen it happen even when I was coaching. It's like some players, or even doing reviews, it's like some players think that it went one way and then we watch it back and it looks totally different. That's what platinum players generally are struggling with. So when you start to identify that what you're saying or typing or whatever isn't the exact same as what's happening in the map when you look in the match, when you look at the replay, that's when it starts to connect a little bit. You'll start to become a better player and you won't be platinum anymore. Moving on to diamond. So when you're diamond, this is a great rank. So the cool thing about diamond is that generally speaking, at least from my experience, generally speaking, diamond players are trying to get to Grandmaster. They're trying to do their best to get to Grandmaster. They understand that, oh, we have the skills, we have the knowledge to get to Grandmaster. I'm just gonna try my best. But the problem is diamond players tend to beat their head against the wall repeatedly, doing the same thing over and over. What they did worked from gold to platinum and then it got them into diamond, but that just doesn't work anymore. And so if you are stuck in diamond, you need to change your approach. As an example, if I'm playing Invisible Woman in diamond, what you'll usually see is I'm pushing people away. Every time I get dope, I'm pushing people away. But if you look at a Grandmaster Invisible Woman, they're pulling people to their team. They're pushing people like off of maps. They're throwing the ball onto flying characters to make them drop off the map or drop into their team. There's more outside the box thinking. The same can be done with DPS and the same is said for tanks. So once you start thinking about, okay, there's more to my gameplay than what I've been doing, that's when you start climbing and that's when you start winning matches. You have to think outside the box when you are when you're a diamond player, because now you're transitioning into like more of the elite zone. And so Once you do that, once you are like, oh, I did it this way, but it didn't work that well, or it's not working anymore, let me try this way. The more you can do that, the more matches you're gonna win. Just look at a game that you lost and just think about, okay, I did it this way. And then try something new the next game. Even if the game isn't over, just halfway through the game, I'm gonna just try it this way. I'm gonna just try it that way. Just keep doing that. It's a lot of trial and error. And once you start finding your stride, you'll realize what works and what doesn't in which situations, and that will get you to Grandmaster. The cool thing about Diamond, as I said before, is I usually see everyone trying, and although people whine and complain, again, it's competitive, that happens in all ranks, it's pretty similar to Silver, where we're so focused on the fact that we're right there to our goal almost, that I'd rather just focus on my gameplay and not yours. So I think it's, at least you're trying. This is another good rank to be in. This is the type of environment that you want to be in, where yes, we have a little bit of ego here and there. We have a little bit of animosity, but for the most part, people are trying to do their best to win, and they're just trying to play the best that they can. And that's the type of gameplay that you want to be in. Again, not all matches, that it goes for every single rank. Not all matches play the same, but for me, most of my matches in Diamond have just always been everybody's just doing their best for the most part, and that's that. That's what I like about Diamond. Next, we have Grandmaster. Now, if you guys have been watching my content, or you guys have been watching my streams, you guys know I say a lot about Grandmaster players. If you are a Grandmaster player, first of all, congratulations. You made it to Grandmaster. However, if you are a Grandmaster player, your ego is way too massive. The issue with Grandmaster players is they think that they're way better than they are. They think that they are way better than they are, and that's why they're stuck in Grandmaster. There's a lot of people belittling each other. There's a lot of people whining. There's a lot of people rage quitting because they're mad and they want someone to lose. There's just a lot of like toddler behavior in Grandmaster. It's really weird. Like, I have never seen that in any game. It is the most egotistical rank full of childish players I think I've ever experienced, which is weird because you're technically an elite player. You shouldn't even be behaving like that, but that's how it is. Grandmaster is just like that. I'm guessing because Grandmaster was their goal, they feel like, okay, I'm good enough to be Grandmaster. I'm the best. And that's just not how it is. As I said before, it's a very toxic and flaming environment. And a lot of people in Grandmaster either squad or play with their duos. So when I say squad, it's about 3, 4, 5. If I say duo, obviously it's one extra person. This is something that tends to happen. I used to talk about it when I professionally coached League of Legends. It's called the echo chamber. If you're playing with somebody or even multiple people, if you see someone underperform on your team, what you're gonna do is you're gonna be like, oh dude, that guy sucked. That healer could never heal. And then your friend is like, yeah, that healer never healed me either. I was standing right in front of him and they didn't do anything. And that friend's gonna say, yeah, I don't even know how they're here. Why are they here? You see kind of how it's an echo chamber? So now you have all these players feeding into their own egos with their friends and things like that. It's just an awful place to be in, and people would rather belittle others or talk crap about others or make themselves feel better than actually play the game. Many games in Grandmasters, I've seen people AFK typing. I've seen people AFK using their mic. Why do you need to sit still if you're talking? That's Grandmaster for you. So my word of advice for you, if you want to get out of Grandmaster, is you need to drop the ego. You are not as good as you think you are. Once you realize you're not as good as you think you are, you can start to get better and you can start to climb through it. However, even if you do get better, it's still annoying to play with Grandmaster play. It is the most anti-fun experience ever. And I hope these resets keep filtering it out so it doesn't feel like that anymore. But jeez, it's so awful. Honestly, easily, who gave y'all mics? Like, bro, we should just have communication disconnected from Grandmaster players until they reach Celestial. No comms on mic, no typing, no nothing. You just play the game and use pings. That's all you do. It's that bad. So if you've ever been Grandmaster, you're getting ready to hit Grandmaster, you're getting through Grandmaster, I feel your pain. If you ever get stuck in that trap of like, I need to put down others, I need to talk back, I need to do this and that, I'm telling you right now, drop that. When you become more humble, you'll easily reach yourself to Celestial. But if you stay like that toddler that I was talking about that just wants to belittle people and bully people and just think you're better, and you're gonna be Grandmaster for a while. I promise. Next up, we have Celestial. So Celestial, that's a fun rank. Celestial is when you get out of Grandmaster. That's like when you grew up, bro. That's like when you're like, okay, you know, I was writing on walls, you know, I was talking back to my mama, but you know, I'm Celestial now. I grew up. I see the world for what it is. I know I have responsibilities and I need to take accountability. That's when stuff like that starts to happen. Now, of course, there's still people that have ego. There's still people that rage, whine, disconnect, all that extra good stuff. But it's just not as frequent as it was in Grandmaster. So it's a great breath of fresh air. Like a great breath of fresh air. Celestial is similar to Diamond in the way where we're good and we're just going to try our best to hit Eternity. That's my next goal. So if I can just do what I can to make you feel better and to make you play better, I will do it. I just want to hit my goal. And so they're more focused on their own gameplay and just being a good team player than they are focused on everybody else doing horrible. Are there games where that happens? Of course people will still rage and whine and all that. It's just, in my opinion, it doesn't happen that frequently. And that is something that I think is awesome. I think it's great. If you are in Celestial, the thing that's going to take you to Eternity, more or less, is just going to be tightening up your gameplay. You pretty much have a great, solid grasp on things. It's just, you need to tighten it up a little bit more, or maybe there's one or two things you might be missing that you haven't put into your gameplay yet. But once you do that, once you tighten it up, once you get a little bit more of it under wraps, you'll be in Eternity in no time. In my opinion, this is easily, not gonna lie, y'all sweaty. This right here, Celestial players are freaking sweat monsters, bro. I don't care. It's in a good way though. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a good sweat, but you're gonna feel that resistance when you get there. And again, if you want to get out of Celestial, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep trying your best. And when you tighten up your gameplay, when you notice what's weakening, like what's your weakness, when you notice it and you start to tighten up a little bit, you start to see your performance increase. And when you do that, you're gonna be Eternity. I promise, you're gonna be Eternity in no time. Next up, we have Eternity. So with Eternity, okay, so there's 3 types of Eternity players. You have the Eternity players that kind of don't belong because they're not able to play with their squad. When you reach Eternity Plus, you're unable to play with anybody. You can only play with one extra person. So a lot of players that hit Eternity, you can tell that their squad's not there with them anymore and they play horribly. It's very obvious. And so hopefully these resets kind of keep fixing that. I don't really know what they're gonna do, but if you can tell that someone doesn't belong just because they're not playing with their squad, they probably shouldn't even be in that rank in the first place. So that's one of the types of players. The other type of player that you have in Eternity is kind of the low path Eternity player. So this is someone who's like Eternity 50 points or Eternity 100 points. Like they're not really there yet. They got out of Celestial, but you can just kind of consider this Celestial plus. You know what I mean? Once you get to the mid area, and so this is more about like maybe 150 points, that's when the game starts really becoming a Eternity / one above all area. And obviously based off the top 500, the points fluctuate, but usually once everybody starts seeding, the numbers that you need to hit top 500 is about 300. That's usually what it normally is at the end of the season. So when you're about 150 point Eternity towards the later half of the season, you will easily start to notice it's a different game. It's a different game. So for those of you that are part of that first one that I described, where it's like you're not good playing without your squad, I would just recommend, that's hard because you're trying to improve in an area where you should already be good. You know what I mean? So if that is you and you just don't belong, I would just make a Smurf account. And I don't advocate Smurfing, but if you need to learn, there's no other environment and you have to Smurf. So as long as you don't BM, as long as you don't trash talk, as long as you don't disrupt lower ranks, they won't ban you for Smurfing. They only ban players for Smurfing when they're outright Smurfing, saying that they're Smurfing, and just doing things to ruin the experience for everybody. But from someone who actually has Smurfs, and I haven't got any of them banned, as long as you don't say anything that you're Smurfing, and as long as you treat everybody with respect, and you're not obviously straight stomping players, you should be fine. So I would recommend getting a Smurf and just relearning the game. If that's you, if you feel like you can't play without a squad, and every time you do, you just have a hard game, Smurf. You know, relearn the game, and you'll be good. If you're someone who's like the lower half of Eternity, and you're like, well, Poppin, I've been stuck in like the 50 to 100 range a while, what I'd recommend is just work on being a better team player. A lot of the people that are stuck in Eternity, at least the lower half, are still kind of a little bit of the ego monster of Grandmaster. Not as much, but it's there. They still feel like they're better than they are, and they're focused more on like, oh, I'm the carry. Oh, I'm the best. This is why we win. It's because of me. If you want to get to one above all, if you really want to break that Eternity threshold, you are going to need to be a team player. Being a team player is the easiest way. You need to be more flexible. You need to understand if your team's strengths is this, maybe you can amplify their strengths, or if your team has a really crazy weakness, maybe you can cover up that weakness by playing different, or maybe even picking a different character. But if you're still focused on that I'm just the best mentality, you're gonna stay low Eternity for a while. Now, when it comes to the upper half of Eternity, where you're making your way to one above all, this is where, again, you're focused on being a great team player, and you're focused on your strength, the strengths, weakness of your team, and what can you do to help get us that win. That is more of what you're trying to do, and that's what you're trying to tighten up on. So you already tightened up your own gameplay, but tightening up how to play with the team is just something that's very difficult to do. And for those of you that may think tournament gameplay is the exact same or pro play is the exact same, it is not. Climbing on the ladder is completely different from tournament play or from from pro play. It's completely different. So don't pick what they pick, don't ban what they ban, don't do what they do. It is not the same environment. And if you find yourself stuck in Eternity because of that, trust me, get rid of that and try your best on your own. Now, of course, you can watch their streams and stuff like that, maybe if they're playing solo queue or something, but for you trying to adapt what they do in a structured team environment, it just won't help you out. I promise you, this is the same exact thing that I would tell players in higher rank on League of Legends when I would coach that, is that there's a lot of players trying to copy and emulate the esports, and they just can't. So I wouldn't recommend that. Once you start tightening up how you play with the team and being more flexible and stuff like that, that is going to be what ticks you off and puts you into above all. So when it comes to the lower half of Eternity, bro, who gave y'all mics? Y'all ego. But when it comes to the upper half of Eternity, that's where it's like, not gonna lie, you sweaty. Matter of fact, hold on, there we go. We got 2 Eternity markers. So who gave y'all mics? It's pretty awful, I'm not gonna lie. Who gave y'all mics? You know what? No, that's a lie. That's a lie. Ooh, no, it's not. It's rough. Okay, you know what? Hold on. Not gonna lie, it's a mix of all 3. It's a mix of who gave y'all mics, or even played in the same game, and it's sweaty. Honestly, it's all of them. Hold on. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, it's all of them. The low Eternity is literally who gave y'all mics. There's a lot of ego going on. Not as much as Grandmaster, but you could definitely tell that people are very, the higher you go, the more they use their mics, and you could tell. Are we even playing the same game? There's a lot of like, they think it happened, but then it didn't happen that way, and they're just kind of like lost. And then you have decent but delusional, where it's like, bro, you all right, but you a little delusional. And this typically are the players that again are on that lower half, the people who can't play without their duos and things like that. Like, they're still decent players, but they're just not ready for Eternity for that reason, that they don't have their squad. Moving on to one above all. I mean, I feel like I don't have to talk too much about this, but one above all is kind of similar to Eternity, where like the lower half of one above all is different from the upper half of one above. I will say though, once you are in the upper half of Eternity, you do start playing with a lot of pro players and a lot of tournament players, and some of these pro players are smurfing and all that extra crazy stuff. The reason why people smurf in one above all is because it's a way more stressful environment. If you get knocked out of one above all, you kind of just don't have that rank anymore by the end of the season. And that type of gameplay is why people don't really want to go on loss streaks in one above all. And the best thing to do is just smurf so you can hold your spot. I don't condone, or I don't agree with it or not agree with it. That's a whole different story. But you will start running into these smurfs a lot more once you start hitting Eternity, especially the mid rank, because they can get there pretty easily. It's very easy for a one above all player to get back to Eternity. Like, it's very easy. And so as long as they deserved it. Again, some people kind of played OP characters to get there, and if they don't play OP characters smurfing, they don't get there that easily. You probably have seen this before, where maybe someone is like, oh, I hit one above all, and then they try to do it with a new role or a new character that isn't broken, and they are struggling really hard. That tends to happen a lot. But most one above all players, especially towards the top, if they smurf, they're gonna get back. It's very easy to, because they already understand the game at such a high level. I will say that no matter which spot you are in the top 500, those matches are sweaty, period. But that's what you expect. It's a whole different realm. And for those of you who have played with one above all players, maybe you played customs with them, if you're not one above all yourself, you'll know that they are a different breed. Those are some stressful games, and I don't even blame them for smurfing. I don't blame them. If any, I'm just gonna wrap it up and just say, dude, not gonna lie, they sweaty. Honestly, one above all players are so freaking sweaty. Now, I don't use comms personally, so I don't hear what they say, but for the most part, I'm gonna assume they're not really trash talking as much as like all the other ranks, and they're more just focused on winning. Yeah, they have again that ego comes out every now and then, especially if they're playing Magic or Black Panther. The dive DPS characters seem to have like the most ego. Yeah, that happens a lot, but they still don't tilt off of it. And I think that's the difference, because if you tilt, you'll lose matches, which means you'll lose your one above all. Players don't tilt as much. So as much as they may complain and whine, it doesn't really impact their gameplay that much, unless that player is just really struggling that day and having an off day. If you are struggling with any of these ranks, whether it's bronze to one above all, check out my coaching link down below and I can help you get out. Or if you guys would like a replay review, which is free, check that out in the description as well. Sometimes all it takes is a little nudge and you'll be on your way to your ranked goal. Thank you guys for watching. Till next time, you know what I always say. Thank you guys for doing what? Hopping off. We'll off.